Hello, everyone. It's that time for the JMOR Tech Talk Show, where we answer questions about technology, explain the way they should work, and why they don't sometimes. And now here's your host, John C. Morley. Well, hey, everybody, and welcome once again to the JMOR Tech Talk Show. It is great to be with you, Marcus. It is another wonderful Friday. How are you doing?
I'm doing outstanding, John. It's very good to be with you as well.
Same. And, you know, we are at the very first Friday of July. Can you believe that? I think in one more month, we're going to be at our anniversary, aren't we? We started around August time. Was that about right?
Yeah,
so
we're getting very close.
Do something.
Yeah,
we'll have to do something special. The JMOR Tech Talk will officially be on the air as a podcast and a TV show for about a year now. So really, really good. And so I want to talk about some interesting things in the news. You know, it's not about COVID, I promise. We're going to try not to talk about COVID today. We all know the caper when we were kids about Robinhood and his merry men.
Yeah.
Well, Robinhood in this case wasn't so merry. They're actually getting sued for misleading communication and trading practices. In fact, the largest fine ever is being imposed by FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, per the New York Times.
Yeah. Oh, this is just really, you know, the caveat of this, you know, like these guys, they really should have done they research, their homework before they, you know, got into this industry. I think, you know, they were really trying to, you know, break through and, you know, do something really quick, and they didn't consider all everything that's going to, you know, haunt them now for the rest of the time that they're in business.
I think this is the problem, Marcus. Whether you're in a small business, you know, you have many businesses and you're launching something new or a new division, I think it's really important to understand, first of all, if you're signing any paperwork, what the heck you're doing so you don't put your butt on the line. And the second is, do you really understand what you're getting involved in? Have you allowed enough time to get your idea off the ground? And have you tested it properly so that you can, you know, not only deploy it, but do you have the resources to manage it as it grows? You know, because the worst thing you could do is build an empire and then not be able to handle it. Do you have a temporary mechanism to be in place while you're growing? And have you met all the compliances? This company's going to get hit, Marcus, with a $70 million fine in regulatory fines, all courtesy of our wonderful friends over at the agency I just mentioned, which is FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. I mean, that
they're going to feel this.
What's that?
Yeah, they're going to feel that fine. You know, it's you know, that's not a little fine.
It's not a little fine, and you know what also is going to happen, Marcus? Not only is the fine going to be a problem, okay, the time is going to be a problem because it's going to incapacitate this company from being able to move forward because they're going to be so wrapped up in figuring out how to get out of this turmoil that they're not going to have the chance. Maybe it's going to take them 3 months, 6 months. I don't know how long it's going to take them, but they're not going to be able to enter into the market again for a while with anything, if even ever.
Yeah, and I'm quite sure they owe some pennies to some of their loyal consumers.
So they're going to have to make a public statement as to what are they doing, because if they have these fines and they address how they're going to pay their consumers or investors back, fine, but I don't know if they really have a public plan to how they're going to take care of these people. Is there a restitution or not? Or is this just going to become something that they're hoping that statute of limitations will time out. But usually that's 7 years. I'm not sure what it is for FINRA, but most things it's 7 years. I can't think this is going to take 7 years, but we know how long the Facebook and the other sagas take. They don't get solved overnight.
No, they don't. They never do. And the biggest mistake is thinking that that they were safe behind being just an app, or the type of investment tool that is non-traditional.
And I think it's great what they did. I just feel that they rushed to market too fast. I'm not going to mention the company's name, but we all know that big company. They start with a C and they end with an O. You probably know who I mean. And I told you, I've kind of had it with them. I kicked them out many, many years ago. They did things that were not in the best interest for my business and not for the clients.
Right.
And they hire people from overseas, which I don't have a problem with that, but they don't understand the U.S. way of doing business.
Right.
And that's a problem. Their firmware, Marcus, used to be at the top. Now you get one of their head products, and their firmware is like 10 years old or 5 years old, and it's crap. Some of the major banks have yanked them from their platforms. And there's only a couple that are still, treading water with them, but I think it's only a matter of time, and they're going to be kicked out. I mean, now what this company's doing, and I'm not going to mention the name, but they're buying companies up like crazy. And you know what they're doing, Marcus? They're polluting them. They're destroying them. If they don't have the technology, I'm all for people that want to buy technology and add it to their menu. However, I'm not for a company that wants to just buy everything up, become a monopoly, and then just crap all over everything and not maintain something that's good. And that actually hurts not only them, but it hurts the entire marketplace.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just
instability, so yeah.
I think it's a problem. And just because you have a big name, and a lot of companies think today, Marcus, just because you have some money, you could do whatever you want. But we're learning that's not really the truth. Look what happened with Robinhood. They had tons of money. We've seen what's happened with Microsoft and Facebook. They've had more than their wrists slapped. So when are people going to wake up and say, enough is enough? I need to do what's right. When is that going to happen? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, as soon as they see more fines like the ones that they got, like Robinhood got coming at them. So I think that's what it's going to take to kind of rid some of the greed that's happening.
They got to set a big example, and it can't be something for $1,000. It's got to be in the multi-millions, something that's going to more than sting them, something that almost would put them out of business. I don't know what Robinhood's net worth is, but I can't think it's like 500 billion. If I had to guess their net worth, it could be somewhere around 100 million or maybe 200 million. 70 million's a big chunk of change.
Yeah, that's a big number, and and if the CEO enjoyed those special trips and other bonuses, I don't think one's coming this way.
And the question is going to be, are they going to come back, or are they going to go out of business? Now, remember something, Marcus. If they go out of business, okay, then technically that stock, it's not FDIC insured.
Right.
Okay. And if they go out of business, then they could just go to another country, or they can move around. And they're not personally responsible for that unless, Marcus, they're able to pin the violation on piercing the corporate veil. If they can show that they pierced the corporate veil, and I don't know if they did or not, but if they did, then they're not going to be able to walk away from this company. Because if they walk away from this company, they're coming after them personally.
Yeah.
And that is a big problem. We see people walk away, corporate executives all the time. But very rarely do we see somebody coming after them personally. It's like they know just how to dodge it enough. They can screw the company, Marcus, but for whatever reason, they know how to just screw the company, but to make sure they don't get screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes they do it purposely because they want to get out before they do get in trouble personally.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens, but I know that there's a very good shot these people, from the charges that they're alleging, that they could be really serving maybe some serious jail time and possibly some big fines that even when they come out, if they go in, that it's going to take them years to pay that off. I mean, you don't just get 70 million overnight.
No, you don't.
Right? Let's go to the bank. Can I get 100 million? Yeah, sure. We'll give that to you. We saw what happened with a wonderful tycoon from New York. I'm not going to mention his name. He was a past president. And now nobody even wants his name on a building. He's made such a mockery of his name, the Oval Office. You can't do things like that. I think that goes beyond politics, Marcus. It's not about political, because now it's affecting people's lives.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And that entire time, Marcus, the person didn't want to take the COVID vaccine. But magically, in January, he secretly got it. But he didn't publicize that.
No, he didn't.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to say, I'm not a big political person, but when somebody in politics does something below the belt, then I'm all over them. If it's something that, it was a political whatever, or slew or some slur, okay, fine, that's going to happen. They want a mudsling, let them throw their adult mud at each other, or their adult grenades, or, cannons or whatever. But when it starts to affect the American people and the livelihood of them, that's when I think we got a problem.
Yeah, we got a big problem there at that point, so, yeah.
And speaking about problems, Apple is pushing back on remote work. Apple's saying that they're committed to requiring most employees to work in the office at least 3 days a week from September, despite the staff's opposition. Apple even was recently engaged by getting letters from several employees asking for the policy to be reversed, giving the entire team the option to work remotely. What kind of nonsense is that, Marcus?
John, and this will be a question to you. I wonder if you may know. I wonder what type of metrics they're using to kind of, to determine like, hey, we need them in at least three times a week. What is this?
I think all they're doing is they're using like a project manager tool, and they're looking at the demand for how many resources they need on a project. That's what they're doing right now. And a lot of these people are working remotely, and some of the Apple people and a lot of the Apple team members are not even employees. They're contractors.
Right.
And I've told you this before. Apple is very funny. If you ever have a deal with Apple, you need to shut your mouth because they will find a reason to get rid of you. They will find some reason that makes no sense. They will spend hours to find that little piece of dirt under your baby fingernail that happened 100 years ago, and that suddenly makes you unclean to work for them. I mean, that's petty. Nobody is an angel, Marcus. But if we have to go digging that far, I always said this to you, we all live in glass houses, so why should we be why should they be throwing stones at that house when they live in a glass house themselves?
Right.
I don't know. I feel that this is something to really save money. Okay.
Yeah, and that was kind of like the thing that was behind my head, because it just very seems that it seems like they may feel that um, with the extra space, that could be a waste of extra space as well.
Exactly. And some companies are taking up double the amount of space, not requiring masks, but they're taking like an extra floor to space people out in more room.
Right.
I mean, I think that's crazy too, but the bottom line comes down to this. They're trying to do what's going to save them money. That's the bottom line. And they know that people working, okay, because again, they're saying they're committed to requiring most employees to work in the office at least 3 days a week, okay, at least. So they're requiring people to come back for at least 3 days a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not allowing people to work their entire time at home. Now, I have to agree in one context, being a serial entrepreneur and owning several companies, there is a concern on the employer end. Okay, you're working from home. How do I really know you're working? Right? How do I really know you're working? Maybe you're taking care of kids. Maybe you're making dinner. Maybe you're watching a football game. How do I know you're really working? I don't.
There's no way to know.
So, and we talked about what happened, I think it was about a week or two ago, where we said there's the sign-off email saying that, when you're at home, employers should understand that after a certain hour, you're off the clock unless you're on call.
Mm-hmm.
Employers are abusing that privilege. And I know when I get people that are at home and I text them something, it's very, very quick. It's not more than a minute or two. If somebody reaches out to me first and they have a question, I still try to keep it short and brief. But there's other employers that try to milk that. And I think there's a dichotomy, Marcus, between people working from home and people working in the office. I personally think people need to come back to the office. The reason is you can't get the same work done at home. And if you think they do, I don't agree with it, because you just can't track somebody at home as much. Even though you got Zoom and all those things, I don't care, okay? I feel you don't have the same collaboration. Microsoft and all these other companies can say blah, 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 that we got this collaboration tools. I really don't care. It's not like meeting somebody in person. It's not.
No, it's not. And and the opportunity, like you said, to gain the system is right there for right in the home of that employee.
Exactly. And a lot of times, an employee will come into the office and you can use like time clocks, and we use what they call geofencing, where we don't let them log in unless they're within a certain amount of miles or feet from the office. It won't allow them unless they have special permission. So you can do things like that. But then how do you track somebody at home without being intrusive to their personal life? I don't see a way.
No.
I mean, you make somebody log into a phone or a system. Great, they're logged in. Now, you don't answer the call. What happened? Oh, I must have stepped away to the restroom. But, how do you say to them that they're not working? What do? Put a camera on somebody and just keep watching all your remote employees? I mean, what are you going to be, like a Nazi? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, I think there's an issue where you've got to give control and then you've got to take control. And I think what has to happen is people that are not willing to come back to the office, okay, I feel these are the people that need to be let go. I've had people in the past, one person I know that always likes to work from home because they're more creative at home. I get it. But you have to adapt your style we can't send you home every time you need to do work because it's not creative in the office. Nobody's bothering you, right? So I
Right.
think there's a lot of this, where enough is enough. Let's cut the BS. And look what's happening with unemployment, Marcus. They're thinking about extending it past September again.
Oh, no.
People don't want to go back to work.
Yeah. Further
So
just coddling these people. It's
that's exactly what's happening, and they're complaining that it's not safe. Baloney, it's not safe. Everywhere you go, I think I had to go to a client at a medical office today, and I got to go get a mask. We don't wear a mask everywhere else. There's some stores you go in, there's people that are hypochondriac and they wear a mask. But you know something, Marcus? These people, when they get home, they take the mask off, okay? They don't take it off probably properly, a lot of them. They grab it. They take it off. Now they contaminate their hands, and I bet they didn't wash their hands. I've had lots of people in first responding that wear gloves, which is great. Right. They go home, right? And the first thing they do is they take their whole hand. What you're supposed to do is basically take the fingertip and pull it off, and then immediately wash your hands. So if you take what you really do, the safest way to do it is you peel it from the back, okay? And you peel it off and you go inside out so the germs are on the inside and you pull it out. Say with the other one, if you do that, 99% of the germs are not there, and then you wash your hands. How many people do you know take a glove off like that? They don't.
Yeah, that's not happening. They
so
look for the fastest way to get it off. A lot
of these people that are doing this, oh, woe is me, COVID, they're acting, in public, but when they're home, they're not acting like that.
Right.
I won't say that they're being rude, but to go to some stores and you see 4 or 5 people with a mask, I mean, how long are you going to do this for? And there's still a lot of people, Marcus, that don't want to get vaccinated. That's a whole other issue too.
Yeah. So, and then you got droves of people who, are very happy that the masks are optional, but are not vaccinated. So, so we.
I think it really should be honor system. I mean, I know in the office we have a sign that says, masks are required upon entry for anyone that is not vaccinated. We may ask for proof upon entry if you're not wearing a mask. Please have it handy. People come in and are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, we could ask you for your proof. Well, what if I don't have it? Well, I guess you got to have a mask then. I know I have my digital vax card. I pull up my phone, Marcus, and I proudly show my vaccination card. I had a lady the other day, I was in an elevator going up to a networking event. She's like, oh, I'm vaccinated. I said, no problem. I said, so am I. Do you have your proof? She's like, oh, yeah. Like, they feel a little more comfortable, but there's still people out there that are lying about it.
Right.
And I can tell. But speaking about issues, Facebook, Google, TikTok, Twitter are having some interesting play of the minds. Pinterest is starting to ban all weight loss ads. TikTok is now starting to let videos run 3 minutes. Instagram is now trying to secretly learn how to become more like TikTok. Now that's an interesting conundrum, right? But another interesting thing is happening is that Facebook, Google, TikTok, and Twitter are now starting to stand up and create task force to prevent abuse against women. I think that's pretty interesting. And this is coming after a year of challenges and consultations by Tim Berners and the Lee's Web Foundation, where they found 120 women experts from 35 countries that assembled together to discuss their experiences online and workshop solutions. So I think they're working on it. I feel a lot of times these things are happening, Marcus, not because people directly want to abuse women or because people want to make them feel bad. I think it's happening, Marcus, because of ignorance.
That's a real good, analysis of that, and and a good way to put it. But but when you also think about it too, you got a growing number of like just women throwing themselves into that platform, and so you know, when you look at the numbers, the averages, the law averages, you know, these instances are coming up because like of the type of things that are being published on social media, anyways.
I agree, but the one problem I have, and you know, I use Facebook just for business.
Yes.
I get ladies all the time sending me friend requests, and I look at the friend requests. I look and see if they have anything in their profile. Are they local? Do I know them? And they're usually provocative pictures. They're not professional ladies, and that should be stopped.
Yeah,
so
that really should.
Not that anybody is right here, but I don't think you should be throwing eye candy at somebody, okay, and then saying, woe is me, look what happened. Now, neither side is right, but why should you start to put a match or more wood on the fire, right? If
Right.
you don't cause the possibility for people to become interested or to sway people or tempt people, then that's probably not going to happen. Let's take a dog for a second, all right? Let's take any kind of dog. Forget a German Shepherd. Let's take a terrier. Terriers are nice dogs.
Yeah.
And let's say you play with that dog, okay? I'm talking a lot of times with the rescue dogs. They're nice dogs, but if you go against their owner, they're coming after you. Another thing about a dog, though, is if you taunt that dog and they know it's not play, if you tease that dog in a mean way, a lot of dogs won't say anything and just kind of go away. But a lot of them, beside the German Shepherd, will come after and actually snip at you or bite you.
Yeah.
And it's not the dog's fault. It's the people for teasing you. That's why a lot of times when somebody gets a dog from a shelter and, you know, they got him, it takes a lot of work because that dog might have been abused.
Right.
And there's going to be a lot of time that you're going to have to put in, even to knowing how to give the dog their food properly. And I was taught this many, many years ago. You never take dog food away from an animal. You give them the food.
Yeah.
And later on, after the dog trusts you and whatnot, maybe you can go there, but you never put your hand near there if the dog doesn't trust you. They're going to go after your hand.
Right.
They've got to know to trust you. And I think it's the same thing with women and with men. I'm not going to just single ladies out because I don't think it happens just to ladies. We believe it happens to ladies because that's how it's always painted. But I think it might happen to a lot of men too. It might happen from the ladies doing that. It might happen from other men that are just being abusive to other men because they're jealous that they have the ladies or for any other reasons or that they're successful. I'm seeing that too, Marcus. So I don't agree that it's just the women. I think there's a collaboration together that are after the women, but I think it's a socio-cultural problem for all races and for all sexes. But
Yeah, I
the
definitely
women
agree.
are just getting they're just getting the brunt of it because the women just spearheaded this organization right now.
Yeah.
But it's a problem that we need to address for everybody. And maybe there needs to be a group for the men to get together, and maybe the men need to meet and the ladies meet, but then they need to come together and figure out how can we create from this dichotomy to make something that both sides are going to respect each other. Right? Because the ladies are always complaining that it's the men causing the problem, right? And the men are usually complaining that it's the ladies causing the problem. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of ladies cause the problem to the ladies because they're jealous of the men they have or they're successful. A lot of the men get challenged by other men because of the ladies they have on them or because the male is successful. And we don't hear that story too much. We don't hear that story too much.
It's probably the first time I ever heard it, on any podcast. So, thank you for that, John. So
you're welcome.
You're probably going to lead a new wave here of a way of thinking. But that's absolutely correct, though.
And I think it happens because when a male is being an alpha male and, being a provider and all that, and when the male is challenged by another male or a lady, what does the male do? The male fights back, not with fist fights, but in retaliation, being disgruntled, maybe being sarcastic, snippy, rude, obnoxious, right?
Yes.
And we call it arrogance. But really what it is an overblown ego.
Right.
And what society has taught everyone to say is, well, it's okay. He's a male and he's an alpha male, and no, it's not okay. Because just because you're an alpha male doesn't mean you could step on people. They say you don't step on women, but you shouldn't step on other men either. And same thing's going for the ladies. And I see this dichotomy, and I think it's something that's going to become more and more. And we can talk of this with Dr. Nicchitelli. We'll have to bring him on. I think this might be a good thing to bring him on about, is to talk about the different sexes and how, when we talk about, the eye predator and how people think that it just happens to the opposite sexes, but it doesn't. It happens to people of the same just because they're jealous. Isn't that amazing?
God. Yeah, that's very amazing. Mind blowing.
But I'm glad that these women are doing something. And, it's said that the statistics are pointing to 38% of women globally have experienced some online abuse. The figure is rising now to 45% when we're getting into Generation Z and the millennials. So the commitment you make today should be seen as a promise to women and girls. I think we need to have the same commitment to guys and men, and so that they know. And I think the first thing that I'm going to say on this whole thing, Marcus, and then I'll get off this topic, is that ladies need to learn to respect themselves. Men need to respect themselves, but ladies need to respect themselves and each other. They're always taught to respect the opposite sex. That always seems to happen. But men don't respect themselves or their own people. And it always happens when another male is getting ahead of the other male. I think competition is healthy, but I don't think it should be chastising the other male.
No, it should.
When you play football or you play a sport, it's great to be competitive. Maybe you want to call people names, fine, as long as they're not hurtful. But it should not be in a manner that puts another male down or makes them feel worthless. And I know that many people, because I know when I was in college, I haven't told you a story before, I was actually a peer counselor. And I know many men, not just ladies, that were on the verge of killing themselves. So I think it's something we have to address as a society. And I think that penalties need to be put in place. We've talked about cyber stalking. We've talked about harassment. There's also cyber harassment. We need to educate the population about what this is. When you go to work, we all have the little course that people make fun of sexual harassment, right? But you have to agree to it and you move forward. Why isn't there something that teaches about stalking harassment? We talk about sexual harassment, but we don't talk about stalking, or we don't talk about electronic stuff. We don't talk about any of that stuff. It's just assumed that people know how to behave. I think the big problem is people don't know how to behave, Marcus. I think that's our, I think that's our biggest challenge. And that as we move forward, we're going to have to definitely do something about that. Looks like we might have lost you in the feed, Marcus. Hopefully you'll come back and join us in a few moments. You might have some issue there with a connection. Well, passwords, nobody likes passwords, right? So if you have a password and you only have a password, it's pretty awful, because if somebody could hack your password, and studies show that you actually can hack a password. They show that you can hack a password. And so what is it that you actually do when you hack a password? There's algorithms that can be used, right? And so if we have more than just a password, if we have just a password, it's something you remember or you know. But what if you could have something that you have on you, like a biometric? A card is something you have. The nice thing about a biometric from your body, it's only something that's on your body. It's not something you can lose. If you pair a type of authentication with a biometric and a password, now we've got both worlds. So if somebody does get a copy of your fingerprint or is able to do that, which is not very easy, or they have that card that you're using, then it's going to basically be you have those two things. And I think it's really important, what's going on. And if we could do that, then there's a lot that we could do to protect things. Very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. So as we're talking about, passwords, I encourage you all to use two-factor, okay? But biometric is something neat because biometric is something that you have to have and you never have to remember. I like the idea of using a biometric password and using a two-factor. So let's say you use a fingerprint. Now you get the other part of the password sent to you on a phone, or you use a fob, and that's the best kind of password you can have. They're great for VPNs and things like that. Well, NASA, Marcus, is prepping some more complex, riskier Hubble Space Telescope Fix. 3 decades have gone by, bringing us insightful and valuable images from space that we would not have been able to get. And there was actually an issue with the payload computer built in, I believe it was around, the 1980s. And June 13th, this past year, 2021, they had a computer halt or freeze. And they're believing that it happened because there was a decrease in the amount of RAM on board. Hubble is actually now in a project with the European Space Agency to work as a task force to figure out a solution to this problem, because this could be very detrimental in being able to monitor and gather more data from space that could help us here on Earth. Well, if you've been thinking about going to Windows 11, Windows 11's coming, but Apple is referred to in the past, it's said, as the anti-Microsoft. Windows 11 is stated to be the anti-Apple. Isn't that a conundrum? Windows 11 requires TPM 2.0, the Trusted Platform Module. And right now, the Mac does not support that. You also need a 64-bit processor, 2 cores, 4 gigs of RAM, UEFI, and at least a 9-inch display, and DirectX 12 compatible graphics cards with WDDM and supporting DGXI. Yep, that's right, DGXI. So the Windows Display Driver module was basically an architecture for video cards to allow Microsoft Windows versions to be able to communicate. And this started as early as Windows Vista, for those of you that wanted to know. And so by them doing this, it provided a functionality that allowed desktop images to be rendered, an application to use the desktop Windows Manager. And this Windows Manager ran on top of Direct3D, which many of you are familiar with. So now it supports DXGI. It's an interface, and it has basic device management and creation of things having to do with video components. And the WDDM specifications require DirectX 3D9 capable video cards or higher. And so this allows things to be a lot better. But what actually is DXGI? Well, Microsoft's Direct Graphics Infrastructure device driver is the user mode display driver. And this allows things to be a lot smoother, allowing them to implement certain functions through members such as structures in the PDXGI DDI base and several others. And this driver is able to record the pointer to the DXGI callback functions. But DXGI user mode has lots of flexibility. It allows greater rendering, faster picture swapping, better caching, memory utilizations. So there's a lot that's coming into the foreframe when we think about, DGXI. It's definitely a very amazing thing. And I know that Windows 11 is definitely going to be making Apple think about what's really going on, in the future. And thus, I think, as I would tell you before, don't rush out to get 11 when it comes out. Give it a little bit of time. And so based on that, Windows 11 is, definitely around the pike. And so as this is happening, a lot of people want to get it, but with these things happening from Microsoft now, that Apple said that they're the anti-Microsoft, and Windows 11 saying that they're the anti-Apple. I mean, this is like two kids in a sandbox, Marcus. It's like they can't work together. They don't want to have interoperability, which is what the whole point of open source is, and systems. But they're fighting each other. And Windows 11, we were just saying that the Trusted Platform Module 2.0 doesn't run on Mac yet. So Mac is going to have to make some very critical changes, even to allow TPM to work in their hybrid environments, because we all know that Mac can run Windows operating system in the power mode, but it will never run Windows 11 if TPM 2.0 is not enabled and developed. So it's going to be a very interesting thing. And I know everybody wants to go out there and buy Windows 11. I know they're just, dying to buy it, And I know you're probably saying, well, how much is Windows 11 going to cost? That's what everybody's asking me. How much is it going to cost? Well, Microsoft Windows 11, which you basically can get on the bandwagon to get it. But many of the new computers now are going to start coming with Windows 11. You're going to get a free upgrade to Windows 11 when it's available. So it is not available yet. The upgrade rollout plan is being finalized, and it's scheduled to begin in late 2021, early, and continue into 2022. So you remember what happened, Marcus, when people had Windows, Windows basically, 7, and then we went to, Windows 10. Many people got that upgrade for free, but then there were a lot of pissed off clients that didn't get it. They're going to play the same nonsense. And I'm venturing, I don't know, but they're probably going to, Microsoft's price tag is like $199. I think it'll be between $199, or maybe because of the pandemic, it might have a $50 inflation of $249.99 or something. I just don't feel like it's going to be $199. I know it's not going to be $100, but they are going to let it roll out. But my concern, Marcus, is I don't know if this operating system is even stable. I haven't played with it yet. And so this has all been developed during the pandemic. I don't know if they really had as good of a team as they could have if they were working in person. So I'm a little concerned that this was all developed during the pandemic. They weren't all collaborating in real time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, these is all, honest concerns, and I'm pretty sure you're not the only one, John, that's thinking the same thing. And and to me, it seems like they're rushing just to get something nice and shiny to get you to buy.
I think exactly that's the problem. And if you think about what's going on, you can't develop something, Marcus, just to make money. You've heard me say this before. Everyone wants to make that app to make $1 billion. I get it. But I tell people this every day. It doesn't matter what you do in life, okay? I mean, do something that's useful, obviously. But 95% of stuff you pick to do in life that you want to do, you'll be able to be profitable at it if you're good at it and you research it and you don't give up. If you just take something and throw it out there, it's going to be crap. Right. Like I was saying to you before about businesses, right? If they don't put what they need to put into the business or research properly, what's going to happen? It's going to fall apart. And if you don't take that appropriate initiative, you're not going to get a second chance to make your first pitch.
Great.
You're going to get called out on the first pitch. You're going to be like strike 3 on the first pitch. And everybody's hoping for the walk, that the pitcher's actually going to, maybe throw 4 balls. But I don't think that's going to happen. Everybody thinks they're going to get that free slide into first base. They're going to get that free walk, and they're going to get that free $1 million sale because, I'm so bright and I'm so much of a genius. The most important thing, Marcus, is to be humble and to realize that when you develop something, don't do what you want. Get the ideas, inspiration, but go research and see what the clients want, what the market wants. Because if you develop something for you and it's all developed around you, no one's going to buy it.
Exactly.
And you wasted all that time and all that money, and you have nothing to show for it. Now you're back to a drawing board again. And I feel that when Windows 11 comes out, it's not going to be ready for the public.
No, it's we already know that. We can tell by the number of updates we get already. So
I think I'm probably not going to want to even touch Windows 11 until 2022. Touch it. Not roll it out. Touch it. Play with it. I ain't trusting on all my technology. I usually roll out things 6 months after I'm comfortable, Marcus. 6 months. I didn't go rush into the grocery store to get Windows 10 when it came out. No. I was playing with betas before, and I saw the disaster of it. I said, oh, no. And so I think Microsoft is hard up right now. They're trying to make some money. And as virtual worlds are going away a little bit, I'll give you a perfect example. I had used Microsoft Office 365 for a project I was working on. And Microsoft had misbilled me for over a year. It took me almost a month to get in touch with them, to get my account canceled. When I went online to cancel it, it says, sorry, we don't recognize that email address. So I opened up a ticket, and then they told me they can't help because I'm in the wrong division. I need to be in the business division. I called in. It'll be a 45-minute wait, so we'll call you back. They called me back. I said, you misbilled me. Oh, okay. Well, how much credit did you want? I was fair. I said, you overcharged me 4 licenses. Okay, well, how much is that? $40 per month for a year. Okay, let me put you on hold. Comes back to, okay, I'm going to put the request in for the credit now. If they're so willing to do that, their billing system is mucked up.
It is. You can't make this up, John. And I'm having like trauma just thinking about how long it took for Windows 10 to finally be correct.
I'm gonna warn you: do not go to Windows 11. No matter how many pretty and attractive things you see about Windows 11 with smart video and all these other things, stay away. Because if you go into it and things are not right, you're going to have more issues. Windows 10 is fairly stable. We know that. I think the reason we've seen so many updates is because their development engineering team was very inefficient. They're all working remotely, and they can't collaborate well. Their so-called Microsoft collaboration tools are the worst uncollaboration tools. I know, talking to the lady on the phone, I said, you can't do this. And I was explaining to somebody. She said, she says, we can't take that kind of language. I said, I'm not saying anything wrong to you. Oh, I can't take those kind of words. I said, I'm just saying to you that I don't feel that there's a competency level here. Yeah, we can't hear that kind of stuff. I said, I'm just stating facts about what's been happening. Yes, you can't speak like that or I'm going to hang up on you. So you really don't want to fix your problem. Okay, is there anything else I can do for you? Hello there, how are you? Nice of you to visit us. And what is your name? You looking for food?
Yeah.
Are you? What's her name?
That's Ollie.
Ollie, hello, Ollie. How are you? Nice of you to visit us. I guess you're busy with something else. Okay, no problem. We won't bother you. See you later. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're just about to the end of our wire. We had another great show, but we have a guest coming up, and I want to let you know about that. So we are in the month of July, in case you were wondering. We have in July, we actually have on July 9th, we have Catherine Leonard coming on, who is going to be an amazing interview. She's written some books. She has a lot of improvements for your life and how to do things. So I think you're really going to enjoy the interview, that we have with her. And incidentally, ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking to become a guest on the show, you can just go over to jmor.com, click on the reach out button, and then you'll see a little icon that says apply to become a guest. Follow the steps. It's all automated. We don't accept everybody. You do need to pitch us with some information, sign a media release. And if we think your idea is good for a show, myself with a production team, we'll get back to you and we will invite you to do a vetting interview with us. After the vetting interview, we'll decide if it's going to be a good match for us. And then right then and there, we'll let you know if we want to have you on the show. Otherwise, we will thank you for your time. Again, we're looking for people that have educational content. If you're coming on the show to sell us an iPhone or to sell us a computer or sell us your services, we're not the program for you. You should go on the internet and look for people that charge for advertising. We're not doing that. We're happy to have you as an advertiser. But again, this opportunity is for people that want to provide value. We get industry experts on here, and we want to give this show a very high quality and keep it where it is. So that's why we're selective about guests. It's not that we don't want you. We want people that our listeners and viewers want to hear about. That's really important to us.
Right.
So if you have a product, you can also go to our website and you can click on the button, tell us what it is. You'll have to donate to us, pay the shipping. We'll do an unboxing. We'll do a review. And I got to let you guys know that John is going for his FAA Part 107 aviation license to fly a drone commercially. And we'll be doing that. We may even have a few surprise drone appearances on the show. And because I'll be legally licensed, I'll be allowed to do that. Can't legally fly a drone on any social media or channels or TV or do anything commercially with a drone if you're not licensed. If you don't think I'm telling you the truth, just try it and wait for a nice little gift to show up in the mail. It's about $21,000. There's been hundreds of people on YouTube that have been shut down immediately. Channels closed, all because they flew a drone without being licensed.
Wow.
That's just terrible. Well, Marcus, I guess we have to say goodbye. I want to wish everyone a very happy, a very healthy, a very safe, relaxing, and a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Hopefully you don't have too many hot dogs. You are safe. Of course, if you are lighting fireworks, please do make sure you take the appropriate precautions. Or better yet, why don't you just go to a firework professional show and let those people entertain you? Be a lot safer and probably preserve your life a little more. Well, I guess we got to say goodbye, Marcus. We will see you guys next week, July 9th. And they can tune in, what is it, tomorrow to hear our audio cast. What time is that, Marcus?
That is that'll be approximately 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So that's a brand new addition to our show. It's an audio format only. I think you guys will definitely enjoy that. And we have lots of great stuff coming up. We have a superintendent of security of schools coming on who heads the entire Bergen County for schools and security. We have Dr. Michael Hutchinson, who you remember will be joining us again. We also have the gentleman from iPredator who will be back in. I think we'll be inviting him on to talk about what we talked about tonight, how sometimes we just need to realize that when we're being nasty to somebody, it's not because we want to be nasty. It's because we're either envious, we're jealous, or maybe we just don't like the way they're getting something that we're not. And being nasty is just not the way to do things. If you could be nice and treat people with honey, you're going to get a lot more. When you show others your greed and your jealousness, you're just going to turn them off and want them to walk away. Well, we're going to say goodbye, everyone. Have yourself a great 4th of July from Marcus and I, and we'll be back next week. Have a safe and wonderful 4th of July. Don't eat too many hot dogs and hamburgers, and stay away from those beans. Nobody wants you sitting next to them with all those beans and the beautiful expulsion that happens with too many. So if you have those beans, make sure you sit away from people or sleep alone, because it's not a pleasant experience. We'll see you next week, everyone. Take care.
Happy 4th.
Thank you for tuning in to the JMOR Weekly Technology Show, where we answer your questions about how technology is supposed to work and sometimes why you have challenges getting it to work that way. For more IT support and tips, just text IT support to 888-111. That's IT support to 888-111, and you'll get tips on technology. I'll see you next week right here on the JMOR Tech Talk Show. Remember, JMOR.com.